Hello, good evening, and welcome to your favorite destination for all things politics on Trust TV. This is Daily Politics coming to you live on Trust TV from our studios here in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Now, as socio-political and economic issues continue to unravel in the world's most populous black nation and Africa's largest democracy, Nigerians remain divided on what the problems are and what the solutions would be. In continuation of the ongoing debate around local government autonomy, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accused the federal government of trying to create another bureaucracy through the Supreme Court judgment that affirmed financial autonomy to local councils across the country. This comes as Nigerians await the implementation of the financial autonomy for local councils, which many analysts believe will strengthen democracy and bring government much closer to the people. And in the aftermath of the End Bad Governance protest that shocked the nation, leaders in northern Nigeria are advocating for a dialogue to help address some of the issues that have come to light that will help develop not just the region, but indeed the country as a whole. Now, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has shown his commitment towards ensuring such an engagement to help facilitate a conversation around what needs to happen to help navigate this turbulent time for the country. On Daily Politics tonight, we take a look at the emerging and revolving issues in the polity and how they are shaping the trajectory of the country. Good evening, and thank you most kindly for joining us once again. My name is Abdullahi, Ahmad. Our guest on the program tonight is a former federal lawmaker, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, an APC stalwart, and a former member that represented Adamawa State in the House of Representatives. Is joining us tonight to help navigate some of those issues. Honorable, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers.
Right, now, before we get the conversation started, let's bring you up to speed with some of the day's latest political developments. The reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has resumed duty after the Federal High Court has nullified his impeachment by the Edo State House of Assembly. Shaibu, in a video posted on his X handle on Monday, also directed his staff yet to resume work since his reinstatement to do so or face the consequences. But shortly after his broadcast, the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, said Shaibu was impersonating the deputy governor and should be disregarded.
Today, I am issuing a clear directive to all staff within the deputy governor's office whom have not yet returned to work to resume forthwith. Failure to comply will result in appropriate sanctions. In line with the judgment, the office of the deputy governor was never vacant. In this regard, all transactions that would have been done in my absence remain illegal, null and void, and of no effect whatsoever. I want to make it known that any bank conducting business with the office of the Deputy Governor of Edo State without my explicit approval does so at its own risk. Nevertheless, I want to reassure my dear people of Edo State that I am back in my role as the Deputy Governor of Edo State, ready to perform my duties, fulfill my responsibilities, and deliver on the promises of democracy. God bless Edo State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In other political developments, the police command in Rivers State has confirmed the detonation of an improvised explosive device at the Action People's Party Secretariat in Port Harcourt. The explosion occurred at 1 a.m. on Monday, causing significant damage to the structure. The police public relations officer in Rivers State, Grace Iringe Koko, told News Agency of Nigeria that no life was lost in the incident. The Independent Electoral Commission, in other news, the Independent Electoral Commission in Kwara and Anambra State have fixed September 21st and 28th, respectively, for local council elections. Now, in Anambra State, the upcoming local council elections will be the first in 10 years, as the last of such election was conducted back in 2014. Since then, all 21 local government areas have been under the administration of caretaker committee chairmen appointed by successive governors every 3 months. Now, for nearly 5 years, the 16 local council areas in Kwara State have been run by sole administrators, but the recently inaugurated members of the State Independent Electoral Commission say they are ready to conduct the next elections across the councils. And finally, in our news roundup, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday said his administration is determined to satisfy the yearnings of Nigerians when it comes to public transportation. The president made the remark while inaugurating 30 hybrid CNG buses donated by Depots and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria to the federal government on Monday in Abuja. All right, let's set the agenda in motion and talk about the state of affairs in Nigeria today and navigate some of the issues that have emerged beyond just the protests, beyond just some of the conversations that are shaping the polity. There's quite a lot to unpack. Let's once again bring in our guest, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, to help us navigate some of these issues. Let me get your point of view regarding the events of the past 10, 11 days, beyond just the protests, the various political points in support or in condemnation of what happened. What do you think of what that has done to the polity right now, vis-a-vis what Nigerians are going through?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I must say that we've been expecting the protest because those who organized the protest came on and said, look, they prepared our minds that they are going to conduct a protest and that they will last up to 10 days. For some of us, we know that as a former lawmaker, I know that it has been enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria that everybody has the right to protest. However, we were cautious of the fact that protests in Nigeria, some people can always hijack it. And in spite of all the caution, you know, our people still went ahead and protested. And of course, the process, what we were afraid of came to pass. And particularly, what was it? So we saw clearly looting of warehouses, vandalizing people's offices, burning people's properties. Some even got killed in the process. And so it was really damaging. And of course, I want to tell you that we have issues in Nigeria. There is hunger in Nigeria. There are issues. There are legitimate rights to protest. But please, we must not add insult to injury. Because the truth of the matter is that those people whose hard-earned money, whose businesses have been looted, or whose businesses have been burned down, now some of them have never seen a contract in their life. They don't know any politician. They are legitimate businesses. Now, maybe like that I be big, but now the problem, the person's problem. And unfortunately, again, you see some of our politicians who, in spite of what we have seen glaringly, instead of condemning it, some are coming up to say, look, what the people did was okay, this was okay. But you can see protest is everywhere.
Yeah. Some would say this is, you know, collateral damage, although regrettable. But before we double down on, you know, beg your pardon, some of the issues that we're going to look at, let's talk about what happened in Edo, for instance, right? Where the deputy governor, who, according to the judgment of the court, is now the legitimate deputy governor in Edo State. Prior to what happened, he was removed in such an unfashionable manner or an unceremonious manner. And now he's pretty much taken the proverbial bull by the horn by declaring that he's back in his office and he's calling his staff to come back. Let me get your quick reaction to what that signposts, especially when we talk about the rule of law, because we know the positions of our courts and how their verdicts are supposed to be upheld in every shape or form. What are your 2 cents about what is unfolding in Edo State right now?
Even that is also unfair, regrettable, but I must tell you that, in my opinion, what the deputy governor did was not wrong, because I am aware that he has been impeached. He was impeached at one point in time, and when he was impeached, he did not insist that he was still the deputy governor. Rather, he did the right thing by approaching the court. I have not read the court papers, but at least I have seen him make statements that, look, I have been reinstated. And if that is true, that he has been reinstated, and I want to believe that he has been reinstated, because when he was actually impeached, he did not claim that he wasn't impeached and he therefore went to office. He would have caused more trouble. But after the court judgment, he flaunted on television that he had been reinstated. But because the crisis in Edo, they will not allow, the governor will not allow him to go back to his office. So if he decides to reinstate himself, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Because in the eyes of the law, he has been reinstated. And therefore, he can conclude his tenure. I think that is not a wrong thing to do.
Right. And this particular drama continues to unfold right before our eyes. And let's also talk about the local councils in Anambra, in Kogi State. For Anambra, for instance, since 2014, there's never been council elections in Kwara, I beg your pardon, for the past 10 years.
Yes.
I mean, considering where we are right now, with all the conversations around local council elections, local council autonomy, financial autonomy, administration, and things like that, doesn't that signpost the problem all along?
You see, this is, before we even delve into that, I think we must give kudos to the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu for even taking the bull by the horn and insisting that going to the Supreme Court to seek an interpretation and to get the local government autonomy working. Were it not for the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, most of these states across Nigeria would not have conducted election. You have mentioned it in your news. Over 10 years, since 2014, some states have not even conducted elections. And therefore, if they are bold enough to ignore a constitutional government, a top tier of government that is very close to people, ignore the election, and continue to appoint their surrogates, their friends, and what have you, you can imagine what is happening to the monies that have also been always allocated to local government. So that very function of the government of the day, insisting and getting an interpretation, it's something that has helped this country greatly. I must let you know, when I was in the House of Representatives for 8 years, I can tell you, even certain small jobs that were supposed to be undertaken by local councils, we were the ones doing them. Some state jobs were even the ones doing them. I can tell you that if you go to my constituency, when I was in the House for 8 years, I have never, but people were always asking me, this school needs to be renovated. These are sometimes state schools, but lawmakers take over. You understand? Local council cannot even do a small, even to clear roads. And you understand? So sometimes they can't even pay salary.
Is it my understanding that lawmakers were also part of the problem because they were taking over the roles of local councils?
No, I think as a former member of the House, and I was in the Constitutional Review Committee as spokesman of the House at that time, I can tell you that the National Assembly, and particularly the House of Representatives or National Assembly, always gives local government autonomy. But because some of these constitutional clauses require 2/3 of the states, that means out of 36 states, you require close to 24 states to assent before it becomes law on that. So each time the National Assembly gives local government autonomy, we can't have the 2/3 from the states because the governors will never agree because they know they are benefiting hugely. I must say, let me not generalize. There could be some few governors that are not soiling their hands, but I can tell you majority are actually soiling their hands in local government funds. And that is to say, it has given the National Assembly, if they don't need, if they want to benefit from it, they wouldn't even function and say, okay, let's give us the autonomy. But they did.
The PDP says the way the Tinubu administration is going about addressing this anomaly or trying to course correct is in itself inimical to the entire process because there are still constitutional provisions that allow for states and local councils to collaborate in terms of financial management and things like that. I'm talking in particular reference to the Joint Account Committee, for instance, where the state funds and the local council funds are pulled together for the overall development of the state. That the National Assembly itself should be the one taking the lead to amend the Constitution properly so that we can have something that works. But going through the Supreme Court might give us short-term wins,
it's
but long-term, those problems are still existing.
It's unfortunate that the political party that is asking to still govern this country is telling us that the president has done the wrong thing, we need some interpretation. We should be jubilating that monies will be sent directly to the federal government, from the federal government to all these local councils. This joint account thing is what has cheated this state country and what has cheated some of the local
But it's a
governments.
constitutional provision.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
It's not just, this is not about us explaining for people to just see. But in reality, people can cross-check. The joint account by law says that ordinarily, if you bring allocation for the federal government, then the state should bring their own. Let us know how much you have on ground, so that we can calculate. There's a 10% of that of the state revenue to be added to what comes from Abuja. Then we share it. So the state, the joint account law indicates that you have to bring your own 10% contribution and then add it to what has come from Abuja, so that we can sit down and distribute. No, okay, how many schools do you have here? How many health do you have here? You have the share of the traditional councils. All these statutory deductions will be done. But I can tell you, the states have never contributed one dime to what comes from Abuja. Rather, they are waiting cap in hand to be asking what has it that come from Abuja. And that is why they are always quick to appoint commissioners for local government. And those commissioners for local government go through all the country. You see that 90% of the local commissioners for local government are interests of the governor. And as immediately this money comes, that's how they see it. They have never contributed their real share. So rather than also wait for the academic exercise they're asking for, let Nigerians be breathing. Let people in the villages have money. They should wait. When they come to power, they should follow process.
You don't think that is tantamount to putting the cart before the horse?
No, it's not about the tantamount before the horse. When the right things are done, the right thing is that.
Yeah, but the right thing is to amend the constitution.
No, the constitution has been amended, but for now,
Jack is still in the constitution.
Let me tell you, they're talking about local government financial autonomy. Nobody is saying that the local government administration entirely has been touched.
Yeah, but if you send it directly, you're bypassing Jack, and Jack is a constitutional provision.
Jack is a constitutional provision. You have failed to tell Nigerians that the states have never contributed in the revenue sharing formula. Tell me, go back and make your research as a journalist. No state governor has ever contributed its own part of the quota. You see, people are not informed. They thought that the money should always come from Abuja to the account, and then you take it to join. But where was the contribution of the states? What is their own contribution? They have never contributed.
Okay, it's still an evolving issue, and let's just segue into the current state of affairs right now. Just pointing out that the president today, earlier on Monday, announced or launched the CNG buses, one that has been making rounds since the emergence of this administration, when he announced the removal of fuel subsidy. It's safe to say that the rollout has begun. I mean, the long wait is over, so to say, based on this particular launch. For most Nigerians, too little, too late. But what are your thoughts about what this could actually do to make a difference, especially a few days after the nationwide protest?
It is better late than never. It is even good to take a decision. You see, if he doesn't take the decision, Nigeria will say he promised and they have not seen anything. Now, he has not only rolled it out, but I can tell you that I have read in some of the programs of the president where he has even had discussions. The federal government have discussions with some motors that will produce more of this. So I think, to me, it is going to help a lot. But however, these problems are not things that will be solved within a twinkle of an eye. I think it is good that it has started, and this is going to be done in phases. And believe me, once other private organization initiatives, government and other states and local government also participate, it will actually...
You're saying 15 months down the line, with everything that Nigerians have gone through, with inflation, food inflation at over 40%, with everything that Nigerians have gone through, this is still excusable? That this is the time, the CNG buses that have been talked about since last year, that this is the time that they've been rolled out? You
see, there's something we should know about government. When I was in the National Assembly, I was also chairman House Committee on Army. Part of the misconception or misunderstanding of the people, I'm just relating it to what you've just said, is that people expect that if monies are given to Army to buy equipment, it is assumed that when you take 1 trillion on Monday, the equipment should come on Wednesday. These things are not done in this way.
Yeah, but this is not military hardware. No, I mean, with all due respect, I know military hardware, yes, the red tapes are different. We're talking about buses. We're talking about buses.
Red tapes are talking about bureaucratic bottlenecks. We're not talking of that one. We are talking of the fact that things are not on the shelf. some of these vehicles that you see, that's why I said there was an agreement between the federal government and Innoson Motors to produce more number of vehicles, and they're trying to empower our local manufacturer. But what I'm saying is that the manufacturer cannot assemble 100 or 1,000 vehicles in 3 days. It will require time. We are talking about assembling them.
15 months.
So 15 months. No, yes, it will take time. Even if for you to go to this, go and buy a vehicle and just come back, you cannot take those ones.
I can assure you, if I have the money right now, there are so many places I can go to get the cars.
We have decided, as the government has decided that, look, outside of getting it, let us also empower somebody. And vehicles are not something that can be manufactured once. The quantity, you don't get it on the shelf. Some of these vehicles have not been used in Nigeria.
A lot of people will say this is signposting a lack of preparedness, that this whole plan, the administration of Tinubu the Bola Tinubu administration is making things, it's experimenting. There's a lot of trial and error, and they're making things up as they go.
Then this is opposition voices. I want to let you know that I accept opposition. I was once in the opposition too. I know how the opposition works, but the reality that it works on the ground is that the president is working. Aside from even giving you, let me give you an example.
Working for who exactly, Honorable?
Working for us. You and me.
The same people that were protesting 10 days ago?
No, protest. The problem of Nigeria is not 15 months ago. I think that is why people should get to be educated on that. The problem of Nigeria is not...
Nigerians weren't protesting 15 months ago.
Even when after 8 years of Tinubu, there are some issues. Tinubu was claiming to be, look, I am a perfect person in 8 years, even when he made promises that before he...
He said 8 years. The president is serving a first time of 4 years.
Even if he is to spend 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Even if he spent 8 years. I can tell you that after that 8 years, you find there are things that will need improvement. That is human nature. You understand? And therefore, whether you give outward, you will need to always improve. And that is why the president look at people's advice and look at what is on ground. Because sometimes, I was a politician, when you go out to campaign and you make promises, and when you come to the office and see realities on ground, then you are being briefed and you are saying this, then you're going to take expert advice and take decision. But in taking this decision, you have to also engage people, see professionals, and see how you are going to work on that. So I can tell you, the president, when coming, he has realized that, look, there are issues. This is the president that has reduced the debt burden of this country from 97% to 68%. Is it tribal?
You mean debt servicing?
Debt servicing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a serious issue.
But our debt is still ballooning.
If you don't service the debt, you won't get the debt.
Yeah, but our debt is still increasing.
I agree. He is not the one that increased the debt alone. You understand?
He's the one that's collecting.
It's an accumulative thing. It's an accumulative. Every government will come and pick loan, but I can tell you that some don't even service the loan. But I can tell you he has reduced it. That is one aspect of it. I can tell you that the man has agreed that, look, students are also suffering. This sector is not just about you and me. There are students. Okay, I have provided student loan scheme for the first time, and surprisingly, in the past, anything that has to do with studies, we in the North are regarded as people that are backward, or we don't participate. Even in jam score or out of school children, we are always on the high. But this time around, you can imagine that when this student loan thing was launched, the majority, 60% of people who access this loan is from the North. You understand the point? So what I'm trying to say that means awareness is coming, and then people, you are helping, you are looking all around. You are not restricting yourself to a particular sector. You are looking at critical sectors, which include both students, civil servants. Okay, I agree. So steps have been taken. It's not a trial and error thing. It's a trial and error thing. And people should understand that policies and programs of government, some are said to be short term, medium term, and long term. So people cannot just wake up and say, look, all these policies, nothing is good in the Tinubu administration. I think they're not being fair.
Is it difficult for you as a supporter of the administration to defend their track record, because it has been abysmal, to say the least?
As how? What is abysmal about it? Tell me what is abysmal about it. I've just told you that the man is doing the right thing. He has picked the right thing to do. He in the health sector, this is what he's doing. He has made sure that in agriculture he has done this.
What do you think the country thinks about his performance so far? Based on what you've seen, what is your honest assessment of what Nigerians think about President Tinubu?
What Nigerians are feeling, not thinking, is that there is hunger in the land. Nigerians are not happy that we have the inflation is on the increase. But let me tell you, this is something that is a global thing. If you are a follower of what is happening in American politics, I can tell you, after the first debate, or during the first debate of the president and Biden before he stepped down, 60% of the discussion was centered on groceries. Price of groceries are on the increase. So it's not limited to Nigeria.
Well, it's not at 40%.
Nigeria is not limited
We're
to
still
Nigeria.
talking about single-digit inflation in some of these economies, but we're
Not
with all
all
due
the
respect,
economies are
Honorable, you're comparing
single-digit.
apples and oranges
No.
there are other indices where we cannot compare America or UK or Germany or France
We are
to
living
Nigeria.
in a global world that you have to make comparison. If you don't compare, even the model of democracy you are working is a model against that you've taken from America, and you are telling me not to compare. How?
So you're saying we're all in the same boat?
We are.
But
what I'm saying, I'm not saying that we are the same, but I'm saying that the challenges facing Nigeria is an isolated challenge. This is a challenge that is across the country. But we have it here, and that is why I admit that there's a problem. But the most important thing as a leader, what are you doing? Are you working to ensure that you are addressing the issues? So Bola Ahmed Tinubu is addressing the issues. That is the truth.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones, I'm aware the Vice President is trying to facilitate an engagement with northern stakeholders, groups, individuals to discuss, especially against the backdrop of the hunger protest that has rocked different parts of the country, most prominent in the north, for instance, in places like Kano, for instance, in Kaduna, in Jos, where the government has had to impose curfews just to curtail the fallout of some of these protests. What do you reckon the Vice President is going to tell them that they don't already know about the current situation?
I think it is not about what the Vice President is going to tell them. The Vice President said we are going to hold a meeting. We are going to invite stakeholders. And this stakeholder is not even restricted to APC alone. It is at partisan level. Everybody can come. Industrialists can come. Academicians can come. So it is what will be discussed at that forum. What will be the communique that will come out of that forum? It is what Nigerians will listen to. The Vice President on that day will be listening more than saying it, because he is a leader. It is in this regime that he is the Vice President, and that things are getting really tough during the protests. And I must tell you that, I told you that some of these protests and the crisis we have witnessed, there are some politicians that have also been fueling the crisis. You even saw a situation where what a simple protest, where you are feeling hungry, you are still taking the flag of Russia and moving around. These are the things I'm talking about. So on that day, the Vice President will do more of listening than talking.
Yeah, but the APC wouldn't be in a good position to make an argument that some people are politicizing the protest, because that is what APC has done in years past, for instance.
Oh, yeah. So you have not seen what PDP have done. I hope you have not joined us.
Including the president.
I hope you have not joined us as a politician. But I tell you that if you are fair to us,
I'm saying
PDP did something in over 16 years. No, there are places where PDP government...
I am saying he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Yes, that's why this clean hand. I have told you the hands of PDP for the last 16 years. So if you say APC, you are not being fair to us. They have had their own issues. I am not telling you that APC cannot have issues, but it is not only APC that has issues in this country politically. That's not the reality.
Okay, let's talk about the people-oriented policies that the Tinubu administration promised during the campaign trails. I mean, it's very obvious that he won with one of the slimmest margins in Nigeria's current democratic dispensation, which suggests that he's not the most popularly elected president.
It's a simple majority. If he had won with one vote, he would have still been sworn in.
Exactly.
That's a great one.
But that narrow margin.
I won my second turn election with almost just less than 1,000. But I won. The man took me to court. They say I won, and I won. So
I'm sure it was a difficult experience for you then.
But as politicians, that's what we even like, to have stiff competition. Allow citizens to vote. If he has taken it with about 10 million votes, you will have sat us here and tell us that the man has rigged, used all his machines to rig. Now that he won with the margin, then you say it was not a good competition. He should have won with 5 million votes. That's the problem.
I was actually getting to the point.
Yes.
Where is the room to listen to the pulse of the nation and to gauge that temperature and say, okay, let's fine-tune some of these policies so that we can listen to what the people are saying? I mean, whether it's the minimum wage issue or the fuel subsidy, because one of the obvious demands that Nigerians kept re-echoing during the protests was the reversal of subsidy removal. And we've been here before, in 2012, for instance, when the Goodluck administration tried it, and they listened to the people and decided to revert so that we can keep the peace and perhaps tinker with the policy direction. Do you think this administration is listening and also applying the wisdom of understanding what the people are saying, especially as the Vice President hopes to engage stakeholders on the current trajectory of the nation?
Let me tell you, I think this particular president listens so much. Let me even take you back, even on appointments. Sometimes when a certain individual is appointed, this president has reversed that severally. When people come out to say, oh, no, we don't like this person. No, this is not supposed to be appointed. And that because the person record was this government has actually reversed some of these very sensitive appointments. This is to tell you that he is listening to the people. That is one. Two, the fact that he has not removed or restored back the fuel subsidy does not mean that he is not listening to the people. You see, in government, decisions you can take, you have ample opportunity to take those decisions. But before you take some of these decisions, you are the only person that know the facts and figures of what is the Nigerian economy. As analysts, there are things I will tell you right now here. But the figures on ground that has come out today, it's not like stock exchange. Every day they brief you on the particular changes that takes place in the stock exchange. So this is how the economic thing works. So he's going to look at it before he takes final decision. But to say that he is not a listening president would not be a very fair statement. He is a listening president, and he has demonstrated by taking certain popular policies that has helped grow this economy gradually. And I think if we give him time and listen very well and continue to give him that advice, I can tell you that he was going to take those advice. Well,
you talk about the data. Let's talk about some of the data. Recently, the finance minister highlighted how Nigeria is spending $600 million on fuel imports, for instance. And we also know that some form of subsidy is still pretty much in existence right now, because the landing cost of PMS per litre is much more than what most Nigerians are paying for the price of the product right now, which is at the center of the conversation around what is going on with our economy, especially domestically speaking. So how do you square this circle to explain to Nigerians that in light of the removal of fuel subsidy, the government is doing right by Nigerians to go through this difficult period while we're still apparently paying a lot more to bring in some of these commodities?
Let me tell you, when the subsidy was removed, certainly our finances increased. Certainly our finances increased. When our finances increased, this government has released to the Nigerian public that, look, in order to cushion the effects of some of these issues on subsidy, I have given state governors in this country 570 billion to help cushion the effects of the hardship that is taking place. Now, the problem with Nigerian politics is that people are always looking at the president. Nigeria runs a federal system. We have the federal government, the state, and the local government. Now, even when monies are sent to your own governor, you still expect that the president should go and tell the governor what to do. And it cannot happen like that. As a lawmaker, when I was in the House of Representatives, I can only make laws on the federal government. I can't go and make laws on local government because that's the jurisdiction of the state. I can't go and accept there are things that come from the federal government that I will legislate on. But I can't go. So everybody has his own share of the job. But I can tell you, this idea of everything come from Tinubu, I think is not there.
Who removed fuel subsidy on his inauguration day?
Nobody is contesting the fact that fuel subsidy was removed. Nobody is contesting that.
So who should Nigerians hold responsible for the impact of fuel subsidy removal?
That is why, if the fuel was subsidized, I told you here that revenues were generated, and because of that, this money was still given back to the states to help cushion the effect. Now, you talk about Edo some few minutes ago. This same Edo state, if you've been following what is happening in Edo state, during the protest, our young Nigerians discovered so many silos that food that were meant for them and it was boldly written on it, not for sale, was kept in some people's house, tried to repackage it to sell it to the Nigerian public. And this is what is happening across. Is that also the president's problem? So if everybody can do his part of the job, you do your own part of the job, do my own part of the job, this thing will get to a certain level that we will actually reduce the challenges. But I agree that there's a challenge. I can't sit here comfortably and say things are okay, there are no challenges. But the challenge of a leader is to address the problem. But some people are bent on sabotaging it. Because even the governors, those that are holding this and are not doing the right thing, are also sabotaging the president.
When you say governors, are you talking about all governors or some governors?
That is why I told you earlier that I say even in the use of local government force, there are some governors that I cannot make
Can you put a percentage on it? Because we have PDP governors, APC governors, Labour Party governors.
In this matter, when it comes to issue of money, there is no PDP or APC in this matter. Because even when the elections are conducted at local government level, have you ever had one particular state that says, okay, if it is an APC state, it's 100% clinch of all the local governments. If it's a PDP state, it is 100%, the chairman will be PDP. If it is a KKK party, it will be KKK party. So now it is not an issue of whether it's APC or PDP. It is an attitudinal thing. So you understand? So that is why...
So you're saying it's governors across board?
As far as I'm concerned, the states are not doing so much. That is the reality. But I am not saying all the state governors.
Including governors who say that, listen, these pronouncements by the federal government about interventions this, about rise this, about 10 billion naira for CNG buses, we haven't received it. APC governors have come forward to say it. PDP governors have come forward to say it. Are you suggesting that the governors are lying about the reality of the situation?
I can tell you that I am working on what is official. From what was published from the federal government.
What was announced?
What was? No, it's been published. The Minister of Information has published it. It's in budget and planning has published it.
I mean, there's a difference between
even in court.
There's a difference between federal allocation and then the palliative intervention.
No, I am talking particularly about 570 billion that was published by the Minister of Budget, who said we have given this to state to cushion the effects of the hardship in Nigeria. It has been published in various national dailies, and that can be tendered even in court. So anybody who comes forward to say he has not received it, it is not against the federal government. But this is what we have seen, and I must tell you, the federal government cannot be so cannot say, I've given these people away, they have not given this. It's not possible.
So you're saying the governors are either lying or deliberately misleading?
All I am telling you is that this government has given state governors. Whoever say he has not received it, it is between himself and his people. He's trying to politicize the entire matter.
Okay. Recently, former President Olusegun Obasanjo had his say about the state of affairs in the country, and he spoke to some of your colleagues or former colleagues in the House of Representatives, and he said quite a lot. And he indicted the integrity of the National Assembly when it comes to addressing national issues. I don't know if you took time to listen to what the former president had to say, but he did say that there is a big gap that is signposting a dysfunctional relationship when it comes to political representation, as lawmakers seem to ignore the cries, the yearnings and aspirations of the people and kowtowing to the executive because of what they get as personal favors.
With due respect, I have great respect for the former president. But with due respect, I must tell you, this former president, he is pained by what the National Assembly has done to him. In case you are not aware, the National Assembly, even before I go to National Assembly, this National Assembly has stopped this president's ambition of getting his third time. So when he sits down and sees small countries in Africa having fourth time, fifth time. In fact, recently, everyone that has just been sworn in yesterday or day before yesterday for his fourth term. So he, a soldier, and then with all this capacity and capabilities, he is not able to succeed in his third time bid. So he has, from that time, he has never seen anything good about this National Assembly. And I'm telling you, he is not a very sincere person in terms of the criticism of the National Assembly, because he too has taken certain decisions in his government that people are criticizing him. But this attitude of saying the National Assembly have not done, look, the National Assembly have done their best.
Honorable, you are talking about the messenger. I am talking about the message.
Yes, the messenger. The intention is that somebody who has occupied the position of the president, you are taking it seriously because he was a former president. I respected man for that matter. Till today, I respect all of us, respect all of Africa. But because he is not a perfect person, he has certain things that he has not achieved in life. Part of this achievement is his third time. And the only thing to blackmail people all the time is issue of National Assembly. I think
you're still not talking about the message.
What is the message about?
The message is, in the midst of austerity, lawmakers are getting 200 million naira plus for their SUVs. They're getting tens of millions of naira in allowances. They are promising Nigerians to cut their salaries by 50%, only for Nigerians to find out that they actually didn't cut their salaries. He's saying that they're burying their head in the sand, while the people that put them in office, the people that they're supposed to represent, continue to suffer.
You can see the pain in his heart about National Assembly from these messages. But let me answer one.
But it is true, isn't it?
It's not true. Let me answer from
It is not true that Nigerians are suffering?
I have admitted this. You can't be asking the same question 10 times. I have answered you here. Don't get a soundbite that is thinking that will be helping you here. What I'm saying is that the truth is that there's a problem. But this National Assembly, that this matter of vehicle, I've been in National Assembly before. If you are opportune, tell your National Assembly correspondent to bring you every annual budget that is being prepared by the executive to the National Assembly. Every year, you find ministries, agencies, and commissions budgeting for vehicles for just directors. But the man that even oversight you takes the vehicle once in 4 years. Now, they get the vehicle is on an annual basis. I have seen the budget. Sometimes even the budget is cut and paste. What they bring last year, they will not do serious work on it. They will still bring it again. And the idea is that National Assembly members should not have vehicles. I think people are not being fair. Nobody cares about what happens in ministries, agencies, and departments. All they bother about is the National Assembly. The National Assembly are not the perfect people. They have their challenges. They also have their shortcomings. I agree with that. But as a people, we should be very fair to them in terms of vehicle. In terms of activities, they have demonstrated, even when they are providing popular policies. I've seen the speaker recently, even during this protest, organize debates with youth to get their feel and see what they can come and legislate on. Yet somebody is telling that they are not doing anything. I think it's not just a fair statement.
What about the fact that they promised to cut their salaries by 50% last month, and they got paid their full salary?
I won't answer this question because I am no longer in the House. So if I say
you've been saying so many things that relate to the House. That
no. What I'm talking in terms of, you said they've agreed to cut their salaries by 50%. I agree. They said it. But what you are asking is that whether they've actually done that. I've not seen any pay slip to suggest whether they are receiving full salary for now. When next time I come here, please remind me of this question. I'll be the first to answer the
It's public knowledge. 7 members of the House of Representatives came on national TV to say that.
Let's talk on facts. Facts are sacred.
This is a fact.
Facts are sacred.
This is a fact.
Demonstrated here to show that somebody's slip.
I am putting it to you that a lawmaker came on national television, showed his credit allowed for the month of July, and he said that they have not been deducted yet.
Okay, I have not seen that. But what I'm saying is that
I'm giving you the facts.
But that I'm saying that until I see that their monies have not been deducted before I conclude.
You believe
I don't want to be challenged.
You believe lawmakers are doing everything they can right now, looking at what Nigerians are going through. You believe that there is nothing.
I am not saying they are also a part of. Is there a legislative arm of government, my brother? This job is not meant for one arm of government. It is supposed to be executive, legislature, and judiciary, and they have to work together. You understand the point? So once the executive comes up with the policies and programs, the legislature are supposed to queue into these programs. But it is only when they find that these policies and programs are not in the interest of the people that they represent, then they won't take their decisions and then either get back to the executive. So I tell you that to say blanketly that they are not doing anything, that means even the judiciary is not working, because they are all working based on the policies and programs of the executive.
Right. Also, this past week on Friday, the president alluded to his intention to commit to the review of the constitution once the economy stabilizes. As a former lawmaker yourself, knowing the hurdles and the difficulty that is associated with amendments and reviews. I mean, several times we've made an attempt to overhaul the constitution itself, make it a lot more people oriented, so to say, because there's been a lot of arguments about whether the constitution is reflective of the current makeup of Nigeria as a country. What are your expectations in this regard? And looking at the issues before the current administration, do you think this is something that can be delivered?
As far as I'm concerned, there's a challenge in this era.
The constitution review is a very cumbersome and serious job. But part of the problem we are faced with is still about state governors. I have to always repeat that because I was there before. There are certain clauses that will also like our state associations of assembly to give us a two-third. I can tell you they won't get the two-third. Let me give you an instance. When I was there, we wanted to give, in the first place, the independence of legislature to the state legislators. But do you know that the state legislators could vote against their independence? Because governors influence them not to be independent. Because once they are independent, they are likely to challenge the state governor in taking certain decisions. So what the state governors want is that, look, come cap in hand and be begging things from me. I decide what to give and decide what not to give. I starve you or not starve you. So this was what was happening. However, it was with the serious difficulty that this independence was achieved. Even when the independence was achieved, we say, okay, the president implement it. How many states have implemented the independence of the judiciary at the state level? So the challenge still remains that some of these issues, when it gets to the state, it will be canvassed by the state governors. And again, I will say not all governors, but some of the governors will make sure that this thing will not sail through and will not get even the two-third required by law. So these are some of the challenges that we are going to face with.
Okay, looking at the obvious discontent and the satisfaction across different parts of the country right now, do you think that going by the body language, the movements for reforms and everything else that the administration is working on, do you think it's enough to not only pacify Nigerians, but to get to that destination where, if we look back after the conclusion of this first 4-year tenure, we're going to see that President Tinubu has delivered on his campaign promises?
No, you don't need to wait for 4 years. I can tell you, between now and December, you will realize that progress has been made.
Honorable, we're in August.
Yes, then I'm telling you. I told you earlier, there could be a short-term program, mid-term program, and long-term program. So you have to have a target. Whether it is December in 2 months, you have to have a target. You have to work with something. But I can tell you that this government is, the mere fact that people went to the street to protest is a loud message to the government of the day that, look, something is happening. And I must try to remind you here, in the north, we are not even used to protest. We are always used to riots. It used to be even religious riot, Maitatin in Kano, Musa Makaniki in Yola, and so ethnic violence. It is always a protest, not even a protest. This time around, it has graduated to protest. It now means that, look, our youth are very eager to see that things must be done the right way. This government knows that. We are coming for a re-election. We will come back and ask for votes. So the truth is that apart from just looking for votes, we will deliver on the promises we have made. But as human beings, there could be a program that we may not have expected to get it in 6 months, and we could not deliver in 6 months. It could get up to 8 months or 7 months. These are possibilities.
So when you say December,
but I can tell you that there will be a progress on certain issues from now to December and December. So I don't want you to put on your mind on 4 years, as if we are not going to do anything till 4 years' time. No, I think that is not the best.
Yeah, so what are the deliverables that you think at the moment? Because it looks like right now there's nothing to actually celebrate.
Why should it? Even, do you know that it is this government, present government, that has increased, what do you call it, the number of barrels that we get per day. It used to be, when I was there, it used to be 2.1. It came down to almost 1.2. Today, it is back to 1.6 million barrels per day. You see, this is a way of finding out how we can generate revenue and see how we can solve issues. So this is a critical part of the Nigerian economy. Whether you like it or not, Nigeria relies on oil and gas as the major source of income. Our foreign exchange is based on this. And look, we are sure of that. That's why we have gone on. The president said, okay, this chief of defense staff, go to the Niger Delta, ensure that we talk to our youth so that there should be no problem with getting this barrel. So we are making progress.
Okay, work in progress, Honorable. Thank you so much for helping us navigate some of these issues. I appreciate you for your insight and, of course, for taking the time to join the conversation on Daily Politics. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Just before we go, apologies for inability to bring you that conversation with Dambello, popularly known for his skits and his content on social media. We'll be doing that tomorrow. Hopefully, Galadenchi will be joining us to talk about some of the contents that he's putting on air or putting online. Also, what that might actually do in the social activism that he's involved in. We look forward to that discussion on tomorrow's edition of Daily Politics. That's our show for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms to stay in touch. You can also visit our website, trusttv.com, to stay in touch with the latest news and programs. My name is Abdullahi Ahmad. From myself and the rest of the team, thank you for your time. I'll see you next time.